Sound check test 1 2 1 2. Live video starting. We are on over here. On over here. I think we're on over here. All right, so these platforms should be letting people know that I am live. Give it a second for it to start populating. Good morning, everybody who is coming in, or whatever part of the day it is if you're watching us on replay. Y'all see the title and the topic. We got a good amount to get to here today, so I want to get started pretty quickly. And y'all see what we're going to talk about. This is something that generally, I'm going to tell you all up front, this is something that I don't even know how this one's going to go, how much this is going to get distributed, because I'm going to use social media, which is all these platforms that I'm on right now. I'm going to use social media to tell you how social media actually does business. So they might not like the fact that I'm talking about this here. So we'll see how this goes. They might again suppress this and not let it get seen just because of the topic that I'm talking about. What I'm going to help you all understand is that social media is not free. I know a bunch of you think social media is free, and colloquially, yes, social media is free, being that you don't have to pay money to create an account, log in, and use it, whether you are a publisher or a consumer. It's not costing me any money, technically, directly, to do what I'm doing now, and it's not costing you any money to consume what I'm putting out. However, I'm going to help you understand the business of social media and how that business affects you and how you are involved in the business, even if you don't know or feel that you are involved in the business. That's the topic here today. And this is really not about them, i.e. the social media platforms. It's really about you and understanding your resources, how they work, and how these things all are intertwined. That's what we're going to talk about here today. So I thought of this because I saw that someone had, this has happened many times over the years, that people could take a clip from a longer content. Like, let's say if I talk for 45 minutes here, somebody can take a 2-minute clip and make it sound like anything. And we know people do that on social media all the time. And it got me thinking about this thing that I call the 5 forms of investment. I talked about back in episode 609 of my show, and they are time, money, attention, energy, and focus. These are the 5 investments you have to put into anything that you do. And also, I'm thinking about this also because I was on X, which used to be known as Twitter. Some people still call it Twitter. And I have a verified account on there. I got verified accounts everywhere you can have a verified account. So I got one on Instagram. I got one on X. I believe I have one on YouTube. I had one on Facebook. I don't know if it's verified right now. I think it is. Actually, I'm pretty sure it is. And I don't think TikTok even has verified accounts, like the little blue checks. But if they have one and it costs, I'm going to get it. And I have one on X, and I will keep having it. And I'll keep having it on Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, etc. And anywhere where it costs, I'm going to pay for it. And there's a reason why I would do that. And sometimes when I'm on X, somebody will say, well, you got a blue check that you pay for, like as if I'm doing something wrong. And I was explaining to that person, or responding to that person, wasn't really explaining, because who knows if they actually listen, that the amount of time that you spend on the app is costing you more money than the amount of money that it costs to pay for the blue check. And that's a direction of what I'm going to talk about here today when it comes to why social media is actually not free. And again, I'm going to help you understand this is not about social media. This is about you and how you're using your resources. So please pay attention closely. And I'm going to take all questions at the end once I get through these points. So first, to introduce myself, for those of you who don't know me, my name is Dre Baldwin. Many know me as Dre all day, former 9-year pro athlete, author of 35 books. I've done 4 TEDx talks, and I created this brand called Work on Your Game. Our job over here is to help you perform, do it consistently, and produce results. That's it. Everything else is means to that end. So anything else that I do, or anything else that I talk about, or anything else that any other subject you hear me discussing, all of those are means to the end of performance, consistency, and results. That's the game that I'm in. That's the only game that I'm in. It's the only thing I have affiliation to. Everything else, again, we use as necessary to get to those points. And this one here is one of those means to the ends performance, consistency, and results. So let's get into it so y'all can understand exactly what I'm saying here. And I need you to follow every piece of this while I put this whole puzzle together so y'all can understand how your use of social media is not free, even though it feels free because you're not spending any money directly. Point number one, topic again, social media is not free. First of all, here's what we got to understand. Let's establish some baseline understandings. Anyone who sells anything and makes money, there's a product. Can we all agree to that? Anyone who sells anything and money is being exchanged, there is a product or a service or an experience. There's some form of offer being made in order for the money to be made. So, for example, if you run the electric company, the fact that you provide the electricity, that's the product. That's the reason why people pay the electric bill every month, because the product is the electricity. If you sell cars, the product is the vehicle. If you sell insurance, the product is the insurance. If you sell bananas and apples, the product is the fruit. Now, if you sell hot dogs, the product is the hot dog. We can all, if you sell even experiences, if you're a personal trainer, there's no physical product, but the product, the offer that you're offering is that you're going to help someone exercise, get in shape, and maybe tell them what to eat when they get out of the gym. There's always an offer being exchanged when money is being made. Does everybody agree to this concept? That nobody can be out selling things without actually having a thing to sell, whether it's a product that you can hold in your hand, a service that is something that you do, an experience that people can live through. For example, if you buy a flight, if I buy a flight from Miami to Dallas, what I'm paying for is the experience of the flight. I'm not paying for the airplane. I'm paying for the experience of getting from here to there in whatever period of time that it takes. So every thing that is being sold, there is a product. Okay, coaching, training, photography, bread, milk, eggs. So with all that being understood, let me ask you a question. Social media companies, they make a whole bunch of money, don't they? Don't social media companies make a lot of money? All right, YouTube makes money, Google makes money. They're not really social media. Instagram, TikTok, what other ones? X, what's the other ones? Facebook, and whatever other ones. And there's a whole bunch of them. I don't use all of them, but I use the bigger ones. Snapchat. These companies all make money, right? So here's my question to you. How are they making money? What are they selling? They're making money, so they had to be selling something. We just established that every company that is selling something and making money, there is something that they're giving in exchange for the money. So my question to you is, what is social media selling? Being that many of you look at it as free, what is social media selling? How are they making money if it's free? So TikTok has 1 billion users. They probably have something like that. And Instagram has 1 billion users, something like that. What is the product? What are they offering in order to get their money? And I'm going to put all these pieces together to help you all really understand what's happening out here. And I see Mad Villainy over on YouTube responding to this. The answer is you. All right, so some of you already understand this. I see some of the comments coming through. Some of you understand this. And I'm going to address all comments and questions at the end here. The product is you. We are the product on social media. Now, some of you understand that. Now we got to understand how you become the product. So I think many of you have gotten the point in understanding that you're the product. Now let's figure out how you become the product on social media. Because here's what social media does. They put their app out, quote unquote, for free. You come sign up and use the app. And based on what you do on the app, you know, they have algorithms. So they know what you like, what you don't like on the For You tab, which every app has these days, is based on, you know, artificial intelligence algorithm. They get a feel for what kind of stuff you might like, and they show you more of it. And the whole point of that, ostensibly, is to keep you on the app for more times. They show you more stuff that you like, you're more likely to stay on the app and continue to engage. And the more time you engage, they are tracking that as well. So TikTok knows exactly how much time you spend on TikTok. Instagram knows exactly how much time you spend on Instagram. YouTube knows exactly how much of every video you watch, what type of subjects, and they show you more of that stuff. The whole point is they want to keep you on the app as much as possible. Why is that? Because the time that you spend on the app, based on the content that you watch, they now can create a whole formula that says, okay, based on Mike, he likes watching videos of NBA basketball. And the more of these we show him, he will spend this much time on the app. Now, here's what they do. With that information, they go to the big companies, the big brands that advertise, and they say, hey, Amazon, if you like to advertise to Mike, you need to pay us this much money, and you can put your ad on these kind of videos because this is the kind of stuff that Mike likes. And TikTok does the same thing. Instagram does the same thing. Facebook does it. LinkedIn does it, not so as the same way, but for the most part, they're all doing the exact same thing. This is the business model of social media. Okay. All they're doing is taking your time, your attention, your focus, and your energy. They are basically logging it. They know how much of it you're giving to them. And so again, for free, you're giving it to them. They go and say to the big brands, hey, if you want to access Jason's attention, you have to pay us this much money. And the big brand says, okay, that's a good idea. Jason will probably buy our product. So let's run some ads to Jason. We'll spend this much money on TikTok to run ads to Jason. Then they do it. The big brand pays the money. Amazon pays the money. TikTok collects the money. Amazon sells his product. They collect money from selling the product. You lose money. Well, not lose money, but you spend money by buying the products that are being advertised to you. TikTok's making money because they are monetizing your time and attention. And guess who's not making any money in this equation? The app is making money. The advertisers are making money. Only person that ain't making money is you. And again, I told you, I don't know how much they're going to let this one spread, because I'm kind of exposing social media on social media, but maybe they'll let this one go because it doesn't matter anyway. Ain't like none of you going to stop using social media just because I'm saying this. So they probably don't care. The point is, the only person not making money in this equation, there are three entities involved in the equation. There's the social media app, there's the advertiser, and there's the user. The only person not making money is the user. If you want to make money on social media, what you need to do is become the advertiser, or you need to become the salesperson. All right, that's what you got to do. If you are a consumer on social media and you are not advertising or selling in some way, you are at the bottom of the pyramid of social media. You are the indentured servant of social media. This is how it's set up. And again, this is not trying to make you feel bad. I'm just telling you the truth. This is the reality of the equation. Instagram gives you a platform. This is what social media does. It creates a platform and gets a whole bunch of people to come to the platform. So now people like me, or people like Amazon, or people like Google or Nike or Apple, they see, well, all the people are over there, so we got to be over there. Let me be over there and put my message out over there so all these people can see it. And maybe some of those people will be interested in my product and service. They're willing to spend money to do that because their equation is they'll make more money on the back end than what they had to spend on the front end. That's why it makes sense to advertise. That's the point of advertising. You spend money now, you make money later. And sometimes faster, sometimes slower. But the whole point is we know how much money we're going to make back on every dollar that we spend on advertising. And the apps, they make their money by selling access to you to the advertisers. That's how they make their money. Social media apps make money by selling access to you to the advertisers, and you don't participate in this. So TikTok is selling your time to advertisers. How is that? How is your time being sold by somebody and you don't even know what's happening? And someone also said, I saw someone say data. All right, the data is also being sold. And the data matters because that's part of their algorithm. So the algorithm, it knows every single thing about you. All right, understand it. It knows what time you log in and what time you swipe out of the app. It knows what you pay attention to. It knows what type of content you will watch all of it, what type of content you only watch half, what type of content you're not interested in at all. It knows all those things. It knows what you like. It knows what you comment on. It knows when you look at something but you don't engage at all. It knows all of those things, and it knows all your data. It knows where you are. It knows where you're traveling to. It knows where you're tagging and where you're checking in. It knows who you're writing to in the DMs. And yeah, they are reading your messages, by the way. If you think they're not, they are. They're reading your DMs. They know exactly what you're saying and to whom you're saying it. And they have all your personal information. They know your name. They know your email address. They know your phone number. Because you got to give them all that just to sign into the app. Just to create an account, you got to give them your name, email address, and your phone number. And you got to verify your email address and your phone number. So to prove that it's actually yours. So they know you're not lying. So they got all your information. That's all part of their list. And they know every single person you talk to. The social media apps know more about you than you know about you. And guess what? You gave them all that for free. You didn't charge them for it. You gave all of that to them for free. So you all want to talk about being exploited. You want to talk about being used. You want to talk about not being properly compensated for your work or your resources. Social media is the first place that you need to be looking. They got everything about you. They didn't pay you for it, and they're charging other people to get that information of yours about you, and you don't make any money. They're making the money. You gave it all to them for free. Now they're taking the stuff you gave them for free, and they are charging other people to get access to it. That is how you're giving up your data. And there are people who've written books about this stuff. There's a book called, actually there's several of them. There's one called Zucked, D. And that book is all about how Facebook was actually kind of the starter of this back in the days, probably about close to 20 years ago. Y'all should read that. There's another one called, I can't remember the name. I think it's The Case for Deleting All Your Social Media Apps. It sounds something like that. Look that title up. You'll find the book. There's no other books that sound like that, so you'll find that one. I think it's called The Case for Deleting Your Social Media Apps, or 10 Reasons to Delete All Your Social Media Apps. They talk about a similar thing. And there are many people who study technology and social media and the internet and things like that. And these are people who actually have worked in these industries, meaning they were like one of the first employees at Facebook back 17 years ago. And they say, and so y'all should pay attention to this, that people who work in social media companies often don't let their kids have phones or social media. Isn't that interesting? If y'all didn't know that, you should know it. That people who work in social media companies, or they work for like the phone companies, they don't let their kids have phones or social media, even though they make all their money from phones and social media. They don't want their kids to use it. Why is that? It's kind of like people who work for tobacco companies don't want their kids to smoke. And again, experts have talked about this stuff. So if y'all haven't read these books or these articles or listened to these conversations about these things, they say that maybe 20 years, 30 years, maybe sooner, because things are moving so fast these days, that people are going to look back on social media and smartphones the same way that, you know, how we look at smoking now. There are people who still smoke. And when I say smoking, I mean like cigarettes, not like marijuana, but cigarette smoking. The way that we look at cigarette smoking now, we look back at it when there used to be a whole bunch of advertising for it, and it was advertised as cool, and a bunch of people got hooked on smoking and got lung cancer and died from smoking all their lives. That gets looked back on like, how did we allow this to happen? And people have said that's the exact way we're going to look back on social media and the things that we're doing with these devices these days, because it's like a digital drug. So smoking is like a physical drug that we can see your lungs turning black because you're taking in that nicotine all the time. Social media is the same thing, but it's just doing it to your mind but you can't see it the same way. But it's the same type of disease, the same type of sickness, it's the same type of addiction that people are addicted to. How many of you, when you're leaving one room in your house and you're about to go to another room in the house, and you know it's only going to take you 2 minutes to do whatever you're going to do in that other room, before you go, you turn around and get your phone before you go to the other room? All right, how many of you do that? Probably 90% of you. Why? Because you're addicted. That's an addiction. That's not some normal thing. That's an addiction. And the people who work at these companies, you may, if you understand this and appreciate the concept, you may think that maybe they're bad people, or they're nefarious, or they have malicious intent in doing what they're doing. You can think that if you want to, but one thing you cannot say is that these people are not smart. All right, these people are really smart. The engineers who work at these social media companies are really, really, really smart individuals. So do not make the mistake of, when you disagree with a person or you disagree with a group, of then immediately thinking that they're dumb, because in order for them to manipulate you, they got to be smarter than you. I mean, let's establish that. If they can manipulate you, then they have to at least be as smart, if not smarter than you are, because they were able to manipulate you into doing what they wanted you to do. So you can't say that they're dumb. These people are really smart. The engineers who work at these companies are really smart individuals, and they know exactly how the wiring of the brain and human psychology work. And if they don't know, all they do is test a few things until they get some results. And they're like, okay, well, here's the results. The data tells us here's what works. Let's show this person more of this type of content, because they'll stay on the app for an hour longer a day if we show them this stuff. And they only stay a little bit if we show them this stuff. So let's show them more of this stuff. Why? Because the more time you give to a social media app, the more money that they make. They're in the business of your time. Everybody understand this? So we got to understand the business model. And anytime you're doing anything with any human being, you need to understand their angle. You got to understand, what do they want? Any of you who's a salesperson, any of you done any type of negotiation, one of the most important things you need to know in any negotiation is what the other person wants. Doesn't mean you want to give it to them, but when you know what they want, then you know how to maneuver and how to manage the conversation. How do you move about the conversation, navigate it when you know what the other person wants? Social media wants as much of your time as possible. So this is the reason why I said I wasn't sure how this I was going to go, because of what I'm saying about social media. But as a matter of fact, the apps are happy that I'm doing this. Why? Because first of all, I'm giving my time to the app by being on it and even doing this. And secondly, every person who watches, they're happy, and they're happy that Dre is doing this, because people are watching, and that means they're spending time on the app, which is good for the social media app. So while they might not like the topic, they do like the result. The result is people spending more time on the app, which is their business model anyway. All they care about is how much time you spend on the app. And here's the thing that you need to understand, is that your time is your most valuable resource. All right, you got 5 forms of investment: time, money, attention, energy, and focus. Anything that you're successful at or you want to be successful at, you must invest all 5 of these. Any of you who's successful at anything, you can't tell me that you became successful without putting in all 5. Time, money, attention, energy, and focus. Now, here's the thing. Time is worth about 60% of that whole pie. We divide that up into 100%. Time is worth 60%. The other 4, money, attention, energy, and focus, are each worth 10% each. Why is this? Why is time worth more than all the other 4 put together? Because if you run out of time, they call that death. It's over. You run out of money. Any of you ever been out of money and felt like you were broke and you didn't have any money, but you lived to tell the story? All right, so you can run out of money and come back. You run out of energy. They call that just being fatigued and tired. You go take a nap, go to sleep. You wake up tomorrow, you got energy again. You run out of attention. Maybe you just need to change what you're paying attention to. Maybe you've been on the computer for too long. You need to go take a walk, go touch grass, get in the sun, hear some birds chirping and walk around the trees. You come back, you got attention again. You run out of focus, same thing. Go do something different. You get a little bit of your focus back. You run out of any of those other 4 things: money, attention, energy, and focus. You can come back and do it again. You can live to tell the story. You run out of time, you don't live to tell the story. That's why time is the most valuable resource that you have. Therefore, when you are on social media and giving your time to them, and then they are monetizing and selling your time and you don't make any money off of it, they are using you. It's an exploitative relationship. That's what it is. Now, I'm saying all this while being a user of social media. I might use social media more than maybe most of you who are watching this right now. I publish on social media every single day to a bunch of different apps. I don't really scroll on social media. I don't scroll at all on TikTok, not on Instagram, not really much on LinkedIn. On YouTube, I will consume videos. I usually listen to them more than I look at them, but I'm listening to them. I consume on those apps. I use social media myself. I'm not against the concept of social media. What I'm doing this for is to help you all understand what's happening so that you can be more conscious about what you're doing and more conscious about your resources, because again, time is the most valuable thing that you have. So you need to be really, really, really vigilant about how your time is being used, how your time is being spent, and making sure that you're using the time the way that you want to use the time. The more time you spend on the platform, the more they can sell your time for. So the algorithm's job is to entice you to spend as much time as possible. All right, we have established that as a baseline. Let's move on to point number 2. We're talking here today about what social media doesn't really want you to know, which is that it's not free. All right, a bunch of people think social media is free. Social media is not free. The reason why all of this works, what I explained in point number 1, the reason it works is because it is easier to consume and look at what other people are doing, saying, experiencing than it is for you to go out and actually do it yourself. It's easier to consume than it is to produce. And I would suggest, I'm not telling you not to consume at all on social media, because again, I told you, I watch YouTube. YouTube stats will probably tell you that I spend a good amount of time consuming content on YouTube. And again, usually I'm listening to it, not looking at it. I don't consume stuff that I really have to look at the screen. Mostly it's people talking about things. But at the same time, you need to understand the equation between your consumption and your production. I produce a whole lot. I produce more online than I consume online. And I'm not saying necessarily that all of you need to get into that equation, because it depends on what you do professionally and what your aim is and where you're trying to go. At the same time, you just need to be aware of it. That's what I'm pointing out. When you're aware of things, you can do something about them if something needs to be done. Now, if you're completely unaware, I'm getting a pause on IG. There we go. If you're completely unaware of what's happening, that means you have no power to change it. You can't change anything you don't know about. You can change something that you know something about. So when you're aware, okay, how much am I consuming? How much am I producing? Does this make sense? How much time am I giving to this? Is this a useful use of my time? Is this an efficient and effective use of my time, given my goals and my situation? When you can consciously ask yourself that question and answer is yes, this makes sense. Okay, keep doing what you're doing. The answer is no. Now you can do something different. But if you never ask the question, you can't change it. And what I find in life is that many people are just completely unaware. Many people's awareness levels are extremely low. They're just not aware of what's happening around them. Yesterday, I was walking and I had my son with me. He's 2 years old. And I was walking down this, just a strip of the street, and there was a woman coming towards me, this white woman, kind of heavy set. And she had both hands on her phone and she was looking down at the phone like this while she was walking, to where she didn't even see me and my son coming. We were kind of far away, but she's walking this direction. I'm walking that direction. We were about to walk right into each other. She almost walked right into us because she never looked up from her phone. She was walking just like this. And finally, it got to the point where in her peripheral vision, she could see no legs of two people walking towards her. And she said, sorry. She didn't even look up at me. She just turned this way and went around and kept walking and never looked up from the phone. That's what I mean by lack of awareness. This is the way many people just live their lives. So I'm using it. That's like a tangible example of people doing it physically, but some of you probably are listening to this. You're doing this mentally if you're not doing it physically. Some of you probably are guilty of doing what I just described. Walking around, damn near walking to a damn utility pole because you're looking at your phone and you don't even see what's happening around you. Somebody could be walking up about to shoot you right in the head and you don't even see them. They got the gun out pointing it at you and you're walking right towards them because you're looking at your phone. And you got earbuds in both ears, so you can't even hear the people across the street screaming at you, hey, the guy's about to shoot you. You can't hear them because you got earbuds in both ears and you're looking down at your phone. All right, this is how people walk around life these days. Lack of awareness. So again, I'm pointing this out just so y'all can be aware of what the game is. So again, I'm not dissing social media. I use social media. I use, have used, and will continue to use social media. But I want you to notice the language. Notice the verbiage that I just gave you. I use social media. Social media does not use me. And that's why you got to be careful of where you are in this relationship with social media. Are you using it or is it using you? And it is one or the other. Are you using it or is it using you? I'm happy to give some time to social media because I know the equation of how much time I need to give to it. I know when and where that time should be given. And I understand what I need to get out of that time for it to keep making sense. And if it stops making sense, then I'm going to stop doing it. And if it keeps making sense, then I may do more of it. And I make my adjustments and I calibrate based on what makes sense for me. But I know what the equation is. If you're unaware of the equation, then that doesn't mean that there isn't an equation. There's still an equation. I just gave it to you. All right. They take your time and they sell it. All right, that's the equation. But if you don't know what's going on, they could be using you and you don't even know what's happening. So again, social media is not free. Again, it's not a diss of social media. And there's a lot of things in life that ain't free. Our cars are not free. Getting on an airplane is not free. Food is not free. Freedom is not free. There's a whole bunch of things that are not free. All right. We pay for these things all the time. So just because you're paying for something doesn't make it bad. All right, let me be clear. But you need to make sense of, does it make sense for me to keep paying for this? That's the question that you need to be asking yourself. So social media is a great idea. As a matter of fact, I wish and I say this in a tongue-in-cheek way, I'm a hater when it comes to social media. I wish I had come up with the idea for social media. Had I come up with that idea, I wouldn't be saying what I'm saying right now. I would just quietly let it still be true, but I wouldn't be telling you all about it. All right. But I wish I had come up with the idea of social media because it's a great idea. Create a platform, get a whole bunch of people on it, let them give their time and their privacy away for free to me, and then I can sell everything that they gave me to everybody else, and I can just sit back and watch the money get made. That's a beautiful business idea. So shout out to whoever created social media. They're a genius. All right, they're smarter than me. I wish I was smart enough to have been in the room when that conversation was happening. I would have got a piece of that. All right, so again, I'm not knocking social media. I just said that commercial right there was to not social media. Let y'all know is a great thing. Finding people who will just sit back and watch stuff all day through their phone was a beautiful idea. Again, it's not like this idea came out of nowhere. So the people who created social media didn't just come up with this. It wasn't this spontaneous combustion in their minds, because there was already a pretty clear signal that this would work. And that signal is called television. All right. Some of you don't even own a TV because you just look at everything on your screens. I don't own a TV. And TV, they used to call it, those of you who are old enough, or maybe you can ask your parents, they'll verify this. They used to call TV the idiot box. I don't know if any of you is old enough to remember that phrase. Like my parents, my dad would say that. He would call the TV the idiot box. And they called it the idiot box because the concept was people turned on the TV and sat on the couch and watched it so they could put their mind on off. They could turn their mind to the off switch, not think, and just sit there and stare at the TV all day. And as the saying goes, again, this is something that was said back in the day, but it should still be true. As they said, poor people have a big TV, whereas rich people have a big library. And these days, sometimes you still see people with a bookshelf with a whole bunch of books behind it. My bookshelf is, many of these are my books, but a lot of books that I read are digital these days. So my big library is not something you can physically see. Like if you took all the books I've actually read, then it would take up like this whole room. It's not even big enough to put all the books on there, but mine are all digital these days. But back in the day, before we had books on our phones, you had to have the actual book physically in your hand. And that was the same back in the day. Again, some of you probably not even old enough to remember this kind of stuff. The point being, Social media was just taking what people were already doing with TV and just reducing it down to a little small device that we could hold in our pockets. So now instead of having to go home to watch TV, you can watch TV from anywhere you're at. You can watch TV on the train. You can watch TV on an airplane, even if you didn't have the TV in front of you, not in first class. You can watch TV while standing at the bus stop. You can watch TV when you're in class and you're supposed to be listening to the teacher, but instead you're watching TV on your phone. So you can watch TV in the bathroom. All right. So now you can take TV with you anywhere you go. So again, the people who came up with the idea for social media, very smart people, and I'm hating on them because I wish I was smart enough to have figured this out. It was a hell of an idea. All right. So if I was smarter, I would have came up with social media. And again, we would not be having this conversation because I wouldn't be exposing myself to y'all, letting you know how I was manipulating you if I was making money. Anyway, point number 3. All right. Today's topic, once again, is social media is not free. So any of you who thought social media is free, no, it's not free. You are giving away your privacy. They know everything about you. They know everything that you're doing. They know everywhere that you go. They know who you're talking to. They're reading your DMs. They're looking at your comments. They know exactly what you like. They even know what you're looking at, even if you don't engage with it. So if you look at something that you don't comment and you don't like it, they still know that you looked at it. And they're going to show you more of that stuff. I see that on Instagram all the time. I'll look at posts, not like anything, not comment on anything, but then they'll show me more of that same stuff, even though I never engaged with the content. I just looked at it and they know. So anyway, and they're selling all that stuff for money. They're making money. The advertisers making money. You ain't making nothing. All right. So you're the one getting used in the middle of this equation. Not necessarily a bad thing. Point number 3. I'm not telling you to stop using social media, in case you didn't get that right. I'm telling you that if you do use it, you need to pay attention to how much are you consuming versus how much you're producing. And make sure that that equation makes sense for you. Because listen, some of you have probably found some useful information and some useful insights or maybe some entertaining material on social media. So it's not like everything you do on social media has to make money or it doesn't make sense. That's not what I'm saying. Because I consume stuff on social media that is not, I don't consume it for the purpose of making money from it. I consume it because maybe I am looking for some information. Maybe I just want to know what happened. I'm looking for news because I don't watch the news on TV. And most of the news on TV is nonsense these days anyway. I'd rather get my information from independent sources who I can trust or I believe I can trust to tell me what's actually happening and the objective truth of it, or at least as close as we can get to it that we can't get from the news these days. So sometimes I'm consuming stuff just for informational purposes or sometimes entertainment purposes. I don't consume too much entertainment, but every now and then I will dip into some entertainment just to see what's happening. And sometimes it is for like, what do we want to call it? Development purposes. So I say it can be something mindset based. Even though I talk about mindset, I still listen to sometimes other people talking about it just to see what angles they're using. Because I might get an idea for an angle. Okay, I see that angle. Let me use that. I'll go make some content myself. Or some professional development. Somebody's talking about marketing or business or entrepreneurship or finance. And I might hear something and say, oh, actually, that's a good idea. I never heard of that person. Let me go follow them and see what they're doing. And I may end up becoming a customer of that person because of that. So there's nothing wrong being a consumer. You just need to make sure that your consumption makes sense given the limited amount of time you have called life. That's my point. All right. So you consume as much as you want. You just need to make sure that consumption makes sense. You shouldn't be consuming so much that you don't have time remaining, resources remaining to produce the level that you need to produce to get what you want to get out of your life. And that's different for every person, but you should be asking yourself the questions so that you're conscious of what you're doing rather than being unconscious, because social media is designed just like TV back in the day, or maybe today, for those of you who still have a TV, is designed to get you to stop consciously thinking and just lose yourself in whatever the screen is showing you. That's what TV and social media are designed to do, to get you to stop thinking, stop being conscious, and just keep doing whatever you got to do to get that next dopamine shot. So with TV, again, some of you still watch TV to this day, but many people don't. Fewer people are watching TV now because we all have screens in our pockets. And that on TV, you had to watch whatever the show was showing you. And then they had the commercials in between. That was the advertising, right? So the average that you get on social media these days were commercials on TV back in the day. And there was a time when you could not skip past the commercials. Then they created these hardware where you could record the show and then you could skip the commercials, right? That was called, I think the first one was like, well, the first well-known one was like TiVo, and then they all started doing it where you could record the shows and then you could skip the commercials, so you didn't have to see the commercials. You couldn't see the advertisements anymore. The company said, well, we can't do that. We got to advertise. And a lot of them are on social media now, because now if you want to watch 10 straight TikTok videos, you got to watch 3 ads in between those videos, and you can't skip them. Right? You got to watch the ads, or at least you got to watch a few of them, a few seconds of each ad before you get to the next thing. Why? Because the advertisers got to make their money based on the money that they're spending. And the companies, the social media apps, Costs a lot of money for these apps to run as smoothly as they do. And in order for them to pay for that, they got to charge the advertisers to pay for the data. And y'all understand how much data an app like TikTok uses every day? Like how much data of all the stuff we upload and all the comments and all the likes and all that stuff. That stuff takes a ton of data. A company like YouTube, how much data is it for people to upload as many videos as they want for free all day, every day? You know how much content they're taking in every day? They got to pay for that. And they pay for it by advertisers paying them. And advertisers pay them because the companies know everything about you, everything you're doing. They even know what you're thinking before you know it, because your actions. The whole point here is, here's what I meant to say, because I went on a tangent there, that the dopamine hits you get from going through social media is stronger than the dopamine hit you got from watching TV. Because when you watch TV, you don't control the programming. You don't control what's going to happen next on the show when you're watching TV. You just got to watch whatever they show you. But on social media, if you're watching this show of like me talking right now, if you decide you don't like this anymore, you can click off this show and go watch somebody else's live. You can pick what comes on the TV screen. Whereas again, in 1995, you couldn't pick what came on the TV. I mean, you could pick the channel that you watch, but whatever's on that channel is what you got to watch. And it wasn't that many channels. Now, how many channels are there of TV you could watch when it comes to social media in your phone? Literally, it's damn near infinite. You can't watch every channel that's on TV these days. When I say TV, I mean, in quotes, air quotes, TV. You can't watch everything that gets posted to TikTok today. There are too many pieces. If you watch 1 second of every single thing that got posted to TikTok today, you would run out of time before you watch everything that came out. That's how much stuff is getting published, which is crazy when you think about it, which is great for the social media apps. Maybe great for you if you know what you're looking for, but maybe not, because you spend so much time searching for that next hit. It's like a drug fiend, searching for that next hit to give you that high again of finding something that you like. You'll just keep scrolling until you find it. And the whole time that you're scrolling, what are you giving them? Time. You're paying with your time and attention to find that next thing that you like. And every minute that you pay, they take that minute and they go sell it to the advertisers to make money. And again, it's your time that they're paying, that they're charging for. They're selling your time and you ain't making nothing. Again, I've said that 3 times here because I want you all to get it. So when you think social media is free, it's not free. You're the one paying for it. You're paying for it with a resource that is 6 times more valuable than your money, which is your time. Because again, you can run out of money and live to tell the story. You can't run out of time and live to tell the story. Anybody runs out of time, we're planning your funeral. Okay, so pay attention to how you're using your resources on these apps. As a consumer, you're giving up time, attention, energy, and focus. And the opportunity cost of giving up your time, your attention, your energy, and your focus is that you can't put these towards things that make you money. So how many of you has ever been at work and instead of actually doing your job, you were on social media? All right, so therefore you weren't doing the thing that you're actually supposed to be getting paid for, allegedly, because you were on social media giving it your time, attention, energy, and focus. But if you gave your time, attention, energy, and focus to your job, you could probably do more, be more productive, and thus make more money. It's especially true for those of you who are entrepreneurs. Now, if you're on you're an employee and you're getting a paycheck and it doesn't matter how hard you work or how hard you don't work, maybe it's a different equation for you. The problem for you, though, if you're in that situation, any of you who's in that situation, you better watch out because artificial intelligence is coming for your job, in case any of you didn't know. Artificial intelligence is coming for your job. And whatever job you do, there's some jobs that are going to be future-proof from AI, but not many. There's a Burger King in my neighborhood. As a matter of fact, like a month ago, they had put like a fence around the Burger King. You know, when they're about to tear down the building, they put the fence around it. So they put the fence around the Burger King. And I said, man, this is prime real estate. This is a great location where this Burger King is, but they're using it for a Burger King. So I figured, all right, somebody just bought this land. They're going to tear down this Burger King. Somebody's going to build something here in this prime real estate. That'd be a great location for a business. Like if I had a business and I could have that spot where that Burger King is, I would love to have it. The rent there would probably be crazy, but it's a great location. And anyway, like 2 weeks later, I go past that same spot and the fence is gone, but the Burger King was still there. I thought they were going to tear it down. They didn't tear it down. All they did was remodel the inside of the Burger King. And I could tell just by looking in the window when I walked past, because I don't eat Burger King and neither should you. But when I walked past, I could see that they remodeled the inside. You know, want to know what they changed? You want to know what they did different? I'll tell you what they did. What they did was, you know, usually you walk in a fast food restaurant, or at least how it was, let's say 10 years ago, you walk in and you see like 4 or 5 people at the counters ready to take your order. Hey, welcome to Burger King. May I take your order? What they did was destroy that part and they replaced those 4 or 5 counters that would be usually run by humans, to take your order, and they replace them with these big boards to where you will place your order just by pushing the buttons on the screen. And now you push the buttons on the screen, order your stuff, pay for it. And then there was one person over here at one counter whose job was to just grab the order and say, hey, Mike, order number 254. And Mike, who already paid for your stuff on the board, you will go pick up your food and then you will leave or go sit down. So what actually happened here? If you think about that, what actually happened? What they did was kill 5 jobs with computers. That's what they did. And if you think this can't happen in your industry, it can happen. They just took 5 humans who had jobs, got rid of those 5 humans and replaced them with 5 computers. Computers may cost more money up front for the computer, but in the long run is a lot less money because computers don't need lunch breaks. Computers don't need healthcare. Computers don't ask for a raise. Computers don't call out sick. Computers don't lollygag on the job, and computers do not complain about the minimum wage. See, that's why all those things that's why humans are getting replaced by computers. And if I run a business, I actually do run a business, but if I ran that type of business where I had a whole bunch of humans that I kind of needed in order for it to work, I'd be looking at this AI really, really hard. Like, how can I get rid of these people? How can I get rid of these people and replace them with computers as quickly as possible? It's going to save me money. It's going to save me a whole lot of time. It's going to save me a whole lot of headache. All right, human beings are headaches. Any of you who's ever had employees, you know. All right, humans are headaches. Computers are not headaches because computers do exactly what you tell them to do. So y'all got to be careful here. Y'all got to watch out. And I got a whole trainings on AI. Everything you ever hear me talk about, every sentence that I say here, I got whole trainings on damn near everything. And I got more material than we got time to give y'all everything every single day. But you should be paying attention to what's happening with artificial intelligence because companies are looking to replace humans as quickly as possible. I'll give you another example. Amazon. All of you know Amazon, and most of you are probably customers of Amazon. They have factories, these big warehouses. Like, think about how many orders Amazon processes every day, probably millions of orders every day. And in their factories, there are humans who work in the factory. So if I order some shampoo, I wouldn't order shampoo, but let's say I ordered, what's something I would order? Order a toy for my kid on Amazon. Someone in the factory they get the order and they're like, all right, you got to go get that order off shelf number 3054, shelf number 12, space number 3. They go get that, bring it back, put it inside the envelope, and then it goes to the next spot to go on the truck and then eventually get mailed out to me in 2 days or less because I got Amazon Prime, right? I have read articles, and y'all should look up these articles about how Amazon warehouses work and that to get hired at an Amazon warehouse. I don't know if anyone listening to this actually has ever worked in one, that you get hired by the computer and you get fired by the computer. Like, you never actually deal with a human. So you get hired by the computer hires you, then you go work there. And you know what they do at an Amazon warehouse? That they have a system that is actually measuring how efficiently you go get the stuff off the shelf and put it in the envelope and push the button that says you process that order. They actually measure you. So if you're moving too slow, you get fired from the job by the computer. Like, this is a real thing. There was a whole article on this. I don't remember which platform, which publication put the article out, but you look up articles on Amazon warehouses and how it works. And this particular article, they were talking about Amazon warehouse in New York City. And they were talking to people who had worked there. And this person, it was funny because they're like, I got hired by the computer system, started working there, and it would tell you how you're doing. It would tell you how efficient you were at the job. So if you were like processing one order every 3 minutes on Tuesday, but then on Wednesday, you were processing one order every 3.5 minutes, it would warn you and be like, hey, you're moving a little bit too slow. Yesterday, you were moving faster. You need to speed it up. They would actually tell you that. It wouldn't say it in so many words, but that's what they would tell you. If you go on, and people would say stuff like this, and y'all probably hear about this when it comes to like people who drive Uber or do like DoorDash. And if you were to turn off your system in order to take the next order or the next ride, and because you got to go to the bathroom or you want to get something to eat, you get penalized by the system. The system automatically penalizes you, like, yo, why'd you turn off your availability to take this next ride? And you're like, well, I have to go to the bathroom. And again, any of you drives Uber or done these things, people tell these stories. Like, I'm carrying around an empty water jug in my car and peeing in the jug because if I was to turn my system off to not take rides, I get penalized and they don't offer me any more rides. Therefore, I don't make any money. And this is what automated systems are doing. So anyway, back to that Amazon story. This person who's telling the story working in the factory, they're like, well, they were moving a little bit too slow or they took a day off or something like that. and they got fired by the computer. So the computer just told them, yo, you're fired. You don't work here anymore. And then like 2 weeks later, this will happen. 2 weeks later, the person goes and applies for the job again, and they got hired right back by the computer. And they never dealt with a human the entire time. Like it was other humans there, but the person who hired and fired them was the computer. And the point of all this being, and again, I could talk about all this stuff for a long time, but I'm not going to do that today, is artificial intelligence / technology / coding / computer chips are coming for your job. And I'm going to do a whole training on this other thing that I call future-proof skills. Would any of you be interested in that? Future-proof skills are the kind of skills that as long as you have them, you can't be replaced by a computer. So if you'd be interested in something like that, just put the word yes in the comments, and I'll put that in my notes as something that I will get to in the future. But you want to develop future-proof abilities, because these are kind of things that no matter what kind of technology comes around, it would actually make you resistant to the technology ever being able to replace you. And the other thing is you'll be able to actually use the technology rather than the technology attacking you or being against you or beating you down or putting you out of business. Because the last thing any of you wants is to get put out of business by technology, like people who are working at Burger King. They got replaced by computers. You go into a McDonald's, you'll see the same thing. Any place where people can just push a button and get what they want and not have to talk to a human being, oh, it's coming. I was at a restaurant this past week, and there was a waitress came up, took my order, and after I was done, I said, "Give me the check." And she brought the little handheld machine now that everybody uses. I paid for it. Like, what do we need her for? If I'm running that company, I'm like, what do I need this woman for? That person could come up to that same customer could come up to the table, sit down, order on a little computer screen at the table. One person could come bring the food to me, and when I'm done, I can just push a button, pay for my bill, and never really have to talk to a human being. Why am I paying this waitress? And guess what? You don't have to tip a computer. So this is how the consumer actually wins. You see, when there's a human working at the restaurant, they're expecting me to give some type of gratuity for the bill. And usually I will. And here in Miami, they automatically put it on the bill. You could take it off, but they put it on there automatically. So I don't know where y'all live, but in cities like Miami, the bill is 20% or 18% added to the bill every time, which I don't mind. But if they were to replace the humans with computers, ain't no tips to a computer. So it's actually saving me some money. All right, so if I got a $20 bill, what's 20%? $4. All right, so now I could pay $20 instead of $24. I'm cool with that. I don't need to. The waitress didn't do nothing. All right, she came up, say, "Hey, how you doing? Can I get you something? Yeah, give me a water. Yeah, I'm gonna order this burger." All right, she brings me the water. She brings me the burger. Like a computer could do that. What I need her for? Again, I'm just thinking as a business owner, what do I need this person for? Any of you works in wait staff, that type of business? You better watch it. You're doing deliveries, DoorDash, Uber Eats, that kind of stuff. Y'all better skill up. That's what I would say. Tighten up, because as soon as Amazon and Jeff Bezos and Bill Gates and whoever else is working on it, as soon as they get those automated driverless cars and they get it working really, really good, ain't no more DoorDash. Well, there is DoorDash. Actually, ain't no more people working for DoorDash. Now, the company, I go order some Pizza Hut. Pizza Hut gets the pizza. They put it in this car that has no person in it. The car drives straight to your house, drops the pizza off at your door, and no human being is involved. And guess what? No more tips. Ain't no more humans needed. All right, this is coming, folks. This is all happening in the next 5 years. I'm not talking like 50 years from now. We're not talking like the Jetsons. Remember the Jetsons cartoon from back in the day? I'm talking like the next 5 years. All of you will be alive to see this and witness it. And hopefully you're just watching it and not having it happen to you. But this is all coming. And this topic is supposed to be about social media. So let me recap my points, and I'll get you all out of here. So the topic here today is that social media is not free. Point number one, anybody who sells anything, there is a product. All right, the product on social media is you, in case you didn't know. Number two, the reason why this works is because most people would rather consume than produce. And when you're consuming, you are giving your time, attention, energy, and focus away to the apps. They take it that you give away for free. You're voluntarily giving this information up for free, and they sell it and they make money. The advertising makes money. You make nothing. Point number three, I'm not telling you to stop using social media. I use social media probably more than all of you. I'm telling you that if you do use it, you need to think about how much are you producing versus how much are you consuming, and does the equation make sense? And the call to action here is, next time you're about to get too engaged on a social media platform, like going back and forth in the comments with a person who you don't even know, or whatever it is that you're doing, ask yourself, does this make sense? Does this make sense? in terms of how much my time is worth and where I'm trying to go? If you just ask yourself that question, you probably would waste less time on social media. It doesn't mean every minute you spend on social media is a waste, but is there any time you spend on social media that's a waste? That's the question you should be asking yourself. With that said, let me take questions and comments. If you got any, put it in the comment section right now. So Mad Villain said, you want me to talk about that future-proof thing? Yes, that will be coming. I will be doing that. O-Dog on YouTube said, Amazon, computer boss, can't be bargained with, can't be reasoned with, doesn't feel pity or remorse or fear, and absolutely will not stop ever. Yes, exactly. You're right. And that's the thing. That's the thing about computers, is that computers don't have those human touches where that can be a weakness, but also computers don't have the requirements of a human being, like going to the bathroom, going on lunch breaks, having off days, going to your kids' soccer games. See, computers don't have those problems. So that's why companies are going to replace. So y'all thought, the immigrants coming into the country were taking jobs. Wait till you see what the computers do. If you're worried about immigrants taking your jobs, computers about to take everybody's job. Ain't gonna be no jobs. It's just gonna be computers. And there ain't gonna be no middle class either. That's another conversation for another day. There will be no middle class. So any of you listening to this, if you believe you're in the middle class, I suggest you get out of it, because you're going to be forced out of it. If you don't do it voluntarily, you will either be poor or you will be rich. There will be no middle class, because middle class, those are the jobs. These things that I'm talking about, middle class people work these jobs. But what about when there are no jobs? What you going to do then? You should probably think about that right now, because this is not, again, ladies and gentlemen, this is not a hypothetical. I just want all of you to understand what I'm talking about is not hypothetical. This is not like something that might happen. This is not like George Jetson, the TV show from back in the day. This is real, and it's really going to happen. There will be no middle class. There will be no middle class. All right. So that $50,000 a year jobs won't exist. They're going away. All right. They're already going away. It's going to get worse. All right. So anyway, over on Instagram, I'm going to do TikTok comments in 1 second. Ion Rap No More. Favorite business books. Favorite business books. I'll just give you some that are on my mind right now, because I've read so many that I probably couldn't narrow it down to 3. I would say anything by Dan Kennedy. Dan Kennedy's wrote a whole bunch of business books, and his theme is called No BS. So if you just look up the name Dan Kennedy and then put NOBS, No BS. That's his kind of framework is called No BS. Anything by him on time management, marketing, sales, social media, management, all of those things. I would say I would put him as the first one that I'm thinking of right now. Second one, I would say 10X is easier than 2X by Ben Hardy. And the third one, business, I would say 48 Laws of Power by Robert Greene, which is not technically not about business like money, but it is about human interaction. If you're going to do business, you got to know how to deal with people. So I would give you those 3. And I'm looking through TikTok for comments. You got a question or comment on TikTok, go ahead and post it. Someone said, player said, Kamala will show more black women they can love white men just like Harris loves her white husband. LOL. Okay. I don't know why he said that, but fine. And speaking of Kamala, I think I am going to do 2 lives about why Kamala's going to win and why Trump is going to win. I need to do those. Those are coming too. So I got a lot of stuff that I'm going to do in these lives, but I can only do 1 topic per day. Someone says this came from the language falsification video fire. Is that my video you're talking about? Thank you. If you're talking about my video, thank you. Tommy said you're the product. Yes, exactly. So a bunch of you already understand this, that on social media, you are the product and your data is the thing that's being sold. Yes. And again, there are books written about this stuff. Y'all haven't read these things. Y'all should read it, because y'all will understand the underlying business model of social media. And again, it doesn't mean social media is bad. It just means you got to understand what they're doing. When you understand someone's angle, you can better understand their actions. If you ever looked at someone doing something that you couldn't quite understand why they were doing it, it's because you don't understand the foundation of where they came from. But the better you understand that, the better it makes sense when you see people doing stuff. Chris says, imagine how you go to read a message or watch a video, but end up buying a product. Well, that's all engineered. Again, people who engineer these apps are really intelligent, very smart people. They understand how the human brain works. And they are actually changing the wiring of human brains through these apps, because people are on them all day. So they can basically affect you through repetition. Popular Thunder said, yeah, small percentage are earning on the users. Yes, correct. Chris says, person lose time because the ads just want coverages to see their products for relevance. Well, people don't lose time. They give it away. People can't steal your time. People give it away. All right, so an app can't take time away from you unless you give it to them. Popular Thunder said, LOL facts. Chris said, selling stocks on the bottom end is the same thing. All you do is use your cash as another company. Imagine how much money people get tied in stocks. They had to wait 20, 30 years to see. Well, it depends on how you bought the stock. I get the direction of what you're saying. Popular Thunder said they have an AI simulation profile of everyone. I haven't heard that one before, but I would agree that that's probably true. You're probably right. And let's see what open source intelligence. Yeah, so Popular Thunder sounds like you know a lot about this topic. And social media bots and troll farms. Yeah, that's all. That's a big thing. Someone said, "Are you a blood? Why all the red?" Only thing I got on red is a tie, and I don't think bloods walk around in suits. So I don't know what you're talking about. Zenon Deshawn said, "That's very true. Thank you." More data to sell. Yes, that data is the main thing being sold. And this applies to your smartphones as well, everybody. I'm using social media as the frame here, but your smartphones as well. They know even more about you than the social media apps do, because you got the phone. You're on the phone all the time. Even if we're not on social media, you're on the phone. Zenon said, understanding business model, monetizing knowledge, information to change your life. Slim said, so you're using us. Well, technically, everybody's using everybody. You're using me by getting what I'm talking about in this message. And I'm using you by giving you the message. So everybody's using everybody. So using is not a bad thing. People use the phrase using as if often we use it in a way that means negative. Using is not necessarily a bad thing. If I go to Walmart and buy some stuff, I'm using Walmart for their stuff and they're using me for my money. So we're using each other. It's a symbiotic relationship. So he said, you must have a lot on your mind. Well, I do these lives every day. That's correct. Let's see. And someone with the glasses emoji said, great message, bro. All the best. Thank you. Reading on the phone is not good for the brain. So they say. I've heard that. Number one gifted badge, sellingonlinesecrets.com. Appreciate you. Just sent a gift. Selling Online Secrets. Thank you for the gift. Thank you for the rose. Oh, times 12. Thank you for the times 12 rose. Screen is rapidly flickering faster in your conscious mind. Yes, that is definitely right. Yeah, all that blue light. Intelligence says, yes, and converted. It can be moved and converted in different forms. Yes, I don't know why you're posting that, but it is true what you just said. Yellow Man Reed said, future-proof skills. Yes, as soon as I get done with this, I'll put it in my notes to make sure I do one on that in the future. Yellow Man Reed got the number one gifter badge. I appreciate that gifter competition. Shout out to Yellow Man Reed for hitting that. Helped me hit that goal with the lightning bolt. Eric Hamilton said facts. JD8 said, I would never give my time to a social media app except just there. I see what you did there. All right, let's see. Dita Gita said, I used to watch you when I played basketball, like 13, 20 now, 21 now, making six figures in my marketing business. That's what's up. Congratulations to you. I'm going to use that as I'm going to put that on our testimonial site right there. Shout out to you. Congratulations on making six figures in your marketing business. So everybody, I do these lives every day. WorkOnYourGameUniversity.com is the place where our focus is. So you want to work with me direct. That's where we do all of our coaching, all of our consulting, all of our courses, all of our trainings. If you like this one, I have literally 20 years of this stuff, and we'll say 15 years. I started talking really about the mindset stuff about 15 years ago. So we got about 15 years of this material in the back end of our university, and we're making it more searchable and more findable. So this is going to be the best university in the world when you just want to get game. So any of you who is in college right now, or you're paying back college loans, or you got kids who you think you might want to send to college one day, don't do it yet. You could give that money to Work on Your Game University. It is a much more cost effective, and you're going to get more actual game you can use in real life and Work on Your Game University than sending someone to like Yale or Harvard or Stanford or any of those schools like that. Those are a scam. You'll get much more by going into real life education that you can get at Work on Your Game University. That's the link in my bio on whatever platform you're watching me on right now. I do these lives Monday through Friday, 8:00 a.m. Eastern. So if you like this one, be back for the next one. I still got to do my 2 lives where I'm going to do one where I'm going to tell you why Kamala is going to win the election. Then I'm going to do another one telling you why Trump is going to win the election. I'm going to do those. Today is I'm recording this on October 15th. So we got about 20 days before the election. So I got to do those. Maybe I'll do those this week. Then I'm going to do that future proof one. That one's coming too. And I literally have thousands of topics I can talk about. So really just a matter of picking which one I want to do each day. So all of that's coming. Y'all stay tuned. Again, Work on Your Game University to work with us directly. Everybody have a great day. We are gone. O-Dog said, Kama will win if they successfully cheat again. We'll see. We'll see. But I'm going to do the live and make an argument for both sides, each side individually. That's coming.